Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Letty. So before we jump into my May TBR, I just wanted to bring up a couple corrections I wanted to make about some things I said that were not quite correct. So my unhaul video, I mentioned that I was going to be hanging onto my Paris apartment book. However, I don't actually have that book. It was just the audiobook I was listening to. I think I mixed it up with another book that I had got instead at the time. So I don't have that one. So in my bookshelf tour, you won't see that because I don't have it. And in my bookshelf tour, I mixed up another book. And I pointed to the Odyssey and said it was the Iliad. So it's not the Iliad. I do need that book actually, but it was actually the Odyssey that I have. So let's get started onto my May TBR. So on my May TBR, I have 11 books, which is not entirely ambitious. I have read that many books or more than that in a month. However, one of the books is quite large, so we will get to that one. However, I'll go ahead and start out with the ones that are going to be carried over from April. So it's going to be 6 books carried over from April. However, 2 of the books, those are like slow burns. They're not meant to be read really quickly, like in like a certain amount of time. So really, it's more like 4 books are being carried over. In the first one, I was so disappointed that I couldn't finish this in April because it was for a book club and they had the live stream discussion today, and so I just didn't join it because I didn't want to be spoiled about anything. So I'll just watch it later once I finish it. But that book is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And the book club is actually Wyverns and Words, and that was hosted by Katie is Reading and Cassandra Lynn. Oh, and that was the other thing. I said the wrong book club name in the bookshelf tour, but it's Wyverns and Words book club. So yeah, I'm still about halfway through, so I'll probably finish this in a couple days or so. Okay, and then book number 2 that I am reading in May and it's being carried over from April is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And this is the one that I had been listening to the audiobook and I really wanted a physical copy of it as well. So I did go back a little bit physically because I felt like I was getting more out of it to read physically. So I'm on, was that one? Oh my god, I'm losing my voice. Oh yeah, 114. We're on 114 here. And I love these short chapters. They're so good. It's really easy to read quickly physically. It was almost like too quick in the audiobook for some reason, like switching, because I think it's almost every chapter she switches centuries and like locations and everything. So sometimes it was like a little jarring, like, oh wait, no, she's in a different location. Okay. But when I'm reading it, it's like a lot easier to follow along. Actually, I enjoy it a lot more now. I'm glad that I got the physical copy of that. Oh, and you know what, really quick, before I forget, just in case, I want to mention just really briefly what the books are about, just in case you haven't heard what they are. So, Six of Crows, this is about a group of some ruffians, some criminals, and they are trying to pull off a heist. And it does exist in the same magical Grisha-verse as does the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And then in The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, we have Addie LaRue, who makes a deal with some dark forces, and she basically gets to live forever. But there is a dire consequence to that, and that is that nobody remembers who she is. However, she does get to a point where she goes to a bookshop and somebody remembers who she is. So I am looking forward to getting to that part. And book number 3 on my May TBR, being continued from April. This is one that I just kind of read a little bit here and there. It is a small book, so it's not that grand of an undertaking, but it is a really good book. And it is Steppenwolf by Herman Hesse. And this is about basically a half man, half wolf. So it's like he despises how society is around him, especially the upper class, the high society. He despises them, but he also finds himself attracted to it and drawn to it. And it's like his internal struggle with like the dark and the light. And this one, let's see. Oh, yeah, just page 40. So, yeah, just started on that one. So, I'll probably finish this in May. Okay, number 4 on my May TBR, continuation from April. And this one I just got started on a little bit. However, I had to put it down because I had another book come in, The Six of Crows, and I wanted to read that one since it was for a book club. And this one is Into the Drowning Deep by Merritt Grant. And Merritt Grant is actually another pen name for Shannon McGuire, who wrote Middle Game and other books as well. But Middle Game is the one that I have and I have read as well. So I really like her writing. And this covers a crew that goes down to investigate a bunch of people that have gone missing around this area, the Mariana Trench. And there's sisters involved and killer mermaids, so I'm looking forward to being terrified by that. I am sure it's gonna give me nightmares. So won't be reading it before bed. Now, what's interesting about this one is I have a little bit of a different tabbing situation going on here. I have started tabbing things, however, usually I tab things that I really like, and this is not quite that. And I don't want to really say what it is yet. I want to read the whole thing and see, how often this thing comes up, and then make my, my determination off that. Okay, and book 5 for my May TBR being continued from April. This is my morning read, so something I just read in the morning while I'm making or eating breakfast, but as I can, sometimes I can only read a little bit at a time, but I just try to do, something. So this one is Atomic Habits. Oh, there we go. Atomic Habits by James Clear. And this is a nonfiction. And it basically goes over how to, well, hello, Princess Penny. Oh no. Okay, careful, babies. And it goes over how to not only set goals, but like the systems you put into place to actually get there. So this one, I am still in the beginning. I only went first chapter. But it does cover some interesting things. I'll just mention a few things that I've highlighted so far. They say, here's how the math works out. If you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day for 1 year, you'll decline nearly down to 0. Okay, what's the other one here? I'm gonna find a good one where it wraps it up succinctly. Yeah, basically you start out with small seeds of habits, and then that grows over time, to something bigger. And it just goes over different techniques. Now, the first page of this book, wow, I was not ready for that. Like the first couple pages, I was like, whoa, I'm glad I wasn't eating at that exact moment. So just warning, don't be eating if you're reading the first couple pages of this book. But other than that, it's pretty good. And I'm looking forward to continuing to read this, and I'm going to try to journal alongside it as well. think that'll be a good thing to do in the morning. Okay, book number 6 for May, a continuation from last month. However, this is a slow burn, just like the Atomic Habits. And this is the book that I read before bed at night. And I also showed you this in my bookshelf tour, and that is one of my favorite childhood stories, which is still one of my favorite stories. And that's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And this is a reprint of the first edition. So over 100 years old. It has all the original illustrations as well. Let me see if I can find, oh yeah, this is a cute one. With that old-timey look. Something interesting about Dorothy you may not know is that in the book, her shoes were not red, they were actually silver. And in the movie, of course, they wanted to make them red to show off their new Technicolor, technology. And let's see, oh, where am I? Oh yeah, so I'm still in the beginning here. I'm at the poppy field. So Dorothy has picked up all her friends and they've gone through the scary woods and now they're in the poppy field. My favorite part so far has been the Scarecrow. He's really funny. And I just want to read you one of the last lines that he has before they go on to meet the Tin Man and the Lion. And he says, "If this road goes in, it must come out," said the Scarecrow. "And as the Emerald City is at the other end of the road, we must go wherever it leads us." "Well, anyone would know that," said Dorothy. "Well, certainly, that is why I know it," returned the Scarecrow. "If it required brains to figure it out, I never should have said it." I wish I didn't mess up saying brains right there, because it would have sounded better, I think. But I just think that's funny. It's like, well, yeah, if it took any brains to say it, then I wouldn't have said it. It's like, okay. Okay, Scarecrow. Anyway, I thought that was really cute. Okay, so on to the next books on my May TBR. Now, these are new books that I haven't started reading yet. And one of them is going to be for a book club, and 2 of them I do not have yet, but I have other books to kind of hold up in their place for now, because I don't think I'm going to have the ability to, insert the picture of the cover of the book and all that, unfortunately. Eventually, though, I would love to be able to do that and a couple other things, but for now, this is what I'm going to have to do. So the first book that I'm going to read, this is Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke. And this copy, actually, I did get my Penguin one in, but this one I'm going to go ahead and read and annotate for a friend. I actually just got these really cool, they're transparent Post-it notes. That way, especially if I'm giving it to someone, maybe they don't want to have it in there permanently. I think it's kind of cool to get stuff that's annotated, but, I don't know. I don't want to leave it in there permanent if they don't want it. So this is basically, it has some introduction and does it have extra stuff in the back? Oh, it might. Well, it has at least 10 letters that he wrote, and basically he had a young officer cadet who wrote him, and he was conflicted because he felt trapped in the military, but he was dreaming about becoming a poet, and Rilke was a poet, and he was, I think, 27 at the time, and a famous poet, so that's why this young officer cadet had written to him asking him for advice. And so these letters are his advice, and they're, sorry, the glare, but that's really beautiful writing. And once I read this, I will share some of my favorite quotes, because I'm sure I will have some. I've heard some other people mention some, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to reading this one. Okay, next book on my May TBR. This I can't read until I finish Six of Crows, and that's because it's the sequel to Six of Crows, which is Crooked Kingdom. A little chunkier than Six of Crows, but that's all right. I think it's like 450 or something like that. Anyway, this is also by Lee Bardugo. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's a pretty cool cover. So this is, yeah, just a continuation. I'm sure we're following either some of the characters. I would assume not all the characters. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to read the back and have anything spoiled, really. Sometimes I feel like even on the back, the synopsis sometimes can maybe not totally spoil things, but kind of, ruin it, kind of take part of like the extra fun part away. So I don't want to know too much about it. Okay, so this next book may make it so I end up not reading as many other books as I would like to, but that's okay because this book has been on my master TBR in general. However, it's come up to be the May book club pick for Games of Tomes book club, and that's run by Emmy, and I'll go ahead and link her channel in the description. And so the book that we're going to be reading for May is The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. There we go. And this is quite the chunky book. Oh yeah, there we go. Well, it's under 1,000, I want to say. Yeah, it's under 1,000. So, definitely doable. And I did start reading a little bit of it, and I do like it. I like the writing a lot. And The Brothers Karamazov, this is about a landowner and a father who is murdered, and one of the sons is looked at suspiciously, and it causes problems between all the brothers, and things start blurring, like good and evil, the lines, those two things start being blurred, and I'm sure there's some morally gray characters going on here, or at least the perception of it. I'm not sure. So definitely look forward to getting into this, and eventually then I'll also read Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. But for now, we'll go ahead and take care of this for May. And also I wanted to mention there is another channel on here, Benjamin McAvoy. He has a video specifically on how to read this. I think it's close to like an hour long. Really good information. I highly recommend that you watch that video. I feel like I got stuff out of just watching that video, and I haven't even read the book yet. I mean, not like spoilers or anything like that, but just like I feel even more motivated and inspired to read it. So I'm looking forward to doing that and annotating a lot and writing a lot of notes. And the last two books on my May TBR, I don't actually have these books yet. And we'll see how that goes, if I can even end up reading them or not. I don't know, we'll see. But the first book that I want to read is Seasonal Fear